All right, let's talk about the architects of cool. I'm talking about those brands that don't just sell you a product, they sell you an entire world. They are the rebels, the visionaries, the ones who are completely rewriting the rule book, and today we're going to figure out exactly what their secret is. So, this sounds like the beginning of a really weird joke, right? But seriously, think about it. What on earth is the connection between the tech brand Nothing, the design wizards at Teenage Engineering, the absolute retail anarchist that is Dover Street Market, and the eyewear artist at Gentle Monster? I mean, on the surface, they've got nothing in common, but there's a fascinating thread that ties them all together. And here it is. The real connection isn't what they sell, it's all about how they think. It's this shared obsession with blowing things up, with making design the absolute heart of who they are, and, most importantly, with creating an experience that sticks with you long after you've walked out the door or unboxed the product. Okay, let's start pulling on that thread. First up, two tech rebels on a mission to save the entire industry from being, well, kind of boring. So the story of Nothing really kicks off with its founder, Carl Pei. Now, this is the guy who co-founded the massive smartphone brand OnePlus. And after all that success, he just walked away. Why would he do that? Well, he felt like the whole tech world had just lost its soul, you know? It had become this endless sea of sameness, just boring black boxes. He wanted to create a breeze of change. And this was the mission. So simple. Make tech fun again. It's not just a slogan. It's a direct shot at the establishment. It's a promise to bring back that sense of wonder, that passion, and that genuine excitement that we all used to feel about new technology. So how do you actually make tech fun? For Nothing, it all comes down to design, and their whole aesthetic is this brilliant clash of ideas. First, you've got this transparent minimalism, where they literally show you the guts of the device. It's like, here it is, we have nothing to hide. Then they mix that with this cool retro-futurism, using fonts that feel like they're straight out of an old 1980s IBM computer lab. But the real star of the show, the thing that makes it all work, is the glyph interface, those awesome geometric LED lights on the back. And it's not just for looks. They call it calm technology. It gives you notifications without you ever having to actually turn on your screen. Pretty smart. Now, you don't pull off a vision this specific by yourself. Carl Pei needed the right partner, so he went to a team that's famous for its own brand of playful disruption, the legendary Swedish design collective, Teenage Engineering. And these guys are the perfect fit. I mean, their entire philosophy is right there in the name. It's about that teenage energy, that curiosity, that willingness to just try stuff and see what happens. Their designs are super clean, all about simple geometric shapes, and they use this really specific limited color palette pulled from industrial paint charts. They weren't just a design firm for nothing. They were basically co-conspirators. It's a perfect example of how an amazing collaboration can create something truly new. So, we go from making tech fun to a brand that completely blew up the idea of what a store is even supposed to be. Let's talk about the retail anarchist, Dover Street Market. Dover Street Market, or DSM, is the brainchild of Rei Kawakubo, the visionary behind Comme des Garçons, and her husband Adrian Joff. And here's the key. They weren't trying to build a better department store. They wanted to bottle the wild, eclectic, messy energy of London's Old Kensington Market, a place where you could find absolutely anything and everything. And that inspiration led to this. Their guiding philosophy in just two words, beautiful chaos. It's this incredible idea that real energy, real creativity comes from mashing things together that aren't supposed to mix and just seeing what happens. And this is what that chaos actually looks like. At DSM, there are no rules, no hierarchy. You'll find a $1,000 Gucci piece hanging right next to a $50 Stussy tee. A legendary luxury house shares a corner with a design student's very first collection. And it's all housed in these raw, almost unfinished-looking spaces that just scream the opposite of traditional luxury. The whole experience is designed to never be the same twice. The store has this anti-luxury vibe, right? We're talking raw concrete floors, exposed pipes, the whole 9 yards. Twice a year, they shut the whole thing down for what they call tachiagari, which is a complete reset. Everything changes. The store becomes a theater, a gallery with huge art installations everywhere. And, this is so important, it's also an incubator, giving some of the world's most exciting young designers their first big shot. All right, so if DSM is retail as theater, our last case study takes that idea and dials it up to 11. This is retail as pure, unadulterated performance art. Gentle Monster was started back in 2011 by Hankook Kim, and he was a total outsider. His background wasn't in fashion, he used to run educational camps. But he saw this really simple but huge gap in the market. Most of the cool, luxury eyewear was designed for Western faces, so he started making these bold, incredible frames that were a much better fit for Asian faces. The real genius of the brand is right here, in the name itself. You've got the Gentle side. These are the wearable, beautifully made commercial designs that, actually sell and make the company successful. But then you have the Monster side, and that's where the magic is. This is the experimental, the avant-garde, the oversized, surreal, futuristic stuff that gets all the buzz and gives the brand its wild identity. It's a perfect balancing act. And they have built an entire universe around this idea. Their eyewear isn't just an accessory, it's treated like wearable art. And their stores, they aren't stores at all. They're basically immersive museums filled with giant kinetic sculptures and custom robots that get completely changed out every few months. And they didn't stop there. They've expanded into a whole multi-sensory world with a cosmetics line called Tambourines and an artistic dessert shop called Nudicay. It's a complete experience.
So there you have it, the tech rebel, the retail anarchist, and the experiential artist. Now it's time to connect all the dots and lay out the blueprint that they all secretly share.
Which brings us back to our big mystery. A phone, a store, a pair of sunglasses. What is the secret sauce here? What's the shared genetic code that makes all of them feel like they came from the same brilliant, rebellious place? Well, here it is. This chart lays out their shared DNA, and once you see it, the parallels are just undeniable. Every single one was started by a disruptive founder type. Each one has a really simple, powerful philosophy at its core. Each one uses a very specific aesthetic as its main language. And look at this. They all focus on creating a unique experience, and they use collaboration in a really smart way to build on their identity, not just as a marketing trick. So what's the takeaway? We can actually boil this down to a 4-step blueprint. 1, it all has to start with a founder who has a powerful vision to challenge the way things are. 2, you have to make design your primary language. 3, you're not just building a store or a product, you're building an entire world around it. And 4, and this might be the most important, you have to embrace contradiction, because that's where all the interesting stuff happens. And why does this strategy matter so much right now? Well, because we live in a world of endless lookalikes, of homogeneity. We're all kind of starved for something authentic, something with a real point of view. And that's what these brands give you. They don't just sell you a thing, they offer you a perspective. They invite you into their world. Which leaves us with one final thought to chew on. In a world where it feels like everyone is just following the same playbook, maybe the smartest strategy of all is to find that playbook, light it on fire, and build something completely, totally new. Maybe, just maybe, breaking the rules is the only rule that really matters anymore.